Are you ready for a monster brawl?
Brown and I pretty much cobbled this idea together, and we had no money to shoot it. I was bartending, and to see it all together is beyond my wildest dreams, what we've all pulled together. Leading up to the shoot, instead of watching horror films for inspiration and everything, I was actually reading the original Frankenstein book the whole time. I always like using the metaphor that that's what we were building this whole time, was our own sort of monster. The legs of our monster were the grips, who came out for nothing basically and just worked non-stop, and brings me to tears thinking of the work that went into the arms of the monster, the Gore brothers, and crafting those monster suits. The heart, I think, of the monsters was the actors. We've assembled the most outstanding cast. It is just unbelievable. The eyes of the monster, our camera department, and I don't even know who the mouth would be at times, me or Oliver, and I guess the brain, which would be my producers, and myself, and Mr. Brown, who was his first time working on a movie, and he built this pretty much single-handedly. I owe this whole thing to all of you guys, and unbelievable, guys.
Yeah.
Action!
Well, let me ask you this. What in the world compelled you to go down this path? I mean, why monsters? Why wrestling?
How's the day going, bud?
Good. Roll sound. This movie just keeps getting bigger and better. The main inspiration for Monster Brawl was two subgenres of my youth: 1980s classic wrestling and 1980s classic monster movies. Right? That's it. I produced the film alongside old friends Matt Wheely and John Geddes. The daily challenges they faced on a micro-budget were staggering and claimed a decade off their life.
Would you like to buy some enchiladas?
Jason Brown was a vital part of the project. He was production designer and also the roles of Cyclops, Swamp Gut, and Cyril Haggard.
What are y'all laughing at over there? This ain't no party house. Touch my balls, sack, Brendan.
Brown was key throughout development, and his concept art became the foundation of the characters and set designs in the final film. The big question mark was which monsters to include in the tournament. The witch made the cut as a disgraced village outcast who transforms into a surprising underdog. We wanted to have a monster from Greek mythology, and Cyclops edged out several other fabled creatures on a long list. Lady Vampire was conceived as a fearless medieval warrior mixed with an enraged 1990s female wrestler. The Mummy became a fan favorite by using vintage wrestling techniques like throwing sand into the eyes of the opposition. The werewolf was selected simply on his status as a legendary creature of folklore and pop culture. Swamp Gut was a horrid hybrid of several famous swamp creatures and also a shout out to the cult of burly wrestlers. Zombie Man was set up as a quintessential heel character with a basic wrestler villain nickname. Frankenstein was the first official monster on the list. His size and his strength made him a perfect candidate for monster wrestling. Hi, I'm Jesse Cook, writer and director of Monster Brawl and also one of the producers. Hi, I'm Fuck, keep it rolling?
Yeah.
Monster Brawl is a feature film we're producing up here in beautiful Collingwood, Ontario, which is our hometown. We're 7 weeks away from shooting, so right now we're just setting up a lot of the departments like the special effects and the costumes. And we're also set building over at our warehouse set, which isn't too far from where I'm standing right now.
So that's when we came up with the idea to have it in a secret graveyard. We can show it to the whole world. It's perfect.
We secured a rundown warehouse as our main production base camp because we needed an indoor space to build our massive graveyard set. Jay Brown was now tasked to personally build it with nothing but scrap wood. What do you think of Monster Brawl?
Bullshit.
He started with the two opposing crypts that became the arena entranceways. Next up, we bartered with some local wrestlers for an aged wrestling ring, which included delivery and setup. The next step involved chopping down over 700 trees and assembling an indoor forest, which was followed by enveloping the entire arena with thick black canvas to create an infinite night background. We underestimated the task of hauling in 200 cubic yards of mulch, so we had to summon an emergency crew to work a graveyard shift the night before the shoot.
Almost there.
With 15 crew members and friends working in a panic, we successfully distributed the mulch with only hours to spare, an experience which created a real sense of fellowship amongst the crew. The final phase for the set was prepping the disenchanting crew bathrooms, a job that fell to producer John Geddes.
I don't even know what to say right now.
Why don't you tell everyone how you built this set, Cyril?
With my balls, with my blood and my hard work and sweat. I had Griff here, he stood up some trees. Griff helped me with the trees. We got Donor and Mark over here. They were part of the crew too. They stood up some trees. But me, I built all of this shit, painted it up. I drew little pictures in a sketchbook.
What'd you do with the bodies under the ring?
What bodies?
The brawl begins at sunrise.
What about Las Vegas? Bright lights, big city, sold out crowds.
Not only did our warehouse provide the space for the graveyard set, we also discovered 7 other practical locations within the building that we were able to incorporate into the plot, including the underground museum storage area depicted in the Mummy backstory. Mummy! The exterior of the warehouse was used as the abandoned military facility in the Zombie Origins segment, along with a condemned loading dock area that we accidentally stumbled upon. The zombie chamber was simply a storage room we found at the back of the warehouse. And the Frankenstein lab set was built around the actual power system of the former factory. Another significant warehouse location was the green screen space we established just a short walk away from our graveyard set.
I got a question for you. My zombie man, he's on the warpath. I don't want to know what you're gonna do, fuck.
In addition to offering several sets and locations, our warehouse also supplied the production with a costume room, a rehearsal space, an actor's lounge, and a big room for the gore and makeup department to prep the monsters and creatures. Other locations used throughout the film were found in and around our hometown of Collingwood, Ontario, including the shoreline of Georgian Bay, which provided the backdrop for the Cyclops shoreline. And there was a mythical gorge just outside of town up on Blue Mountain. We also shot for a couple of days at a nearby pioneer town, which substituted as the Cyclops blacksmith shop and the peasant village where Witch Bitch resides. We ended up using the Pioneer Village location for several scenes in the werewolf storyline as well. Another location we took advantage of was the swampy headwaters of the Beaver River, which posed as Swamp Gut's bayou habitat. And the creepiest location of all was perhaps the abandoned Collingwood shipyard building, with its concrete underground labyrinth making a suitable lair for the reawakening of Frankenstein. The most interesting location to lock down was the Victorian vampire estate owned by the eccentric gardening recluse Sir Barry Moore.
If you want to get some shots of it and shoot a mile of film and fit it in to something.
Yep, that's phenomenal.
You know, I mean, I can't change the flowers for anybody. And then you back the cement truck down and work your way up. The garden down there, it'll be nice in a month.
Yeah, that's perfect.
We've got this little sire, you see what happened? To try and level the balls out. I can't think of the name of it, and it was made, I would say, maybe early 90s. This was 1919. This is what was here. Late 70s and early 80s, or 1870. No. I would think of maybe about 88. You'd flash back to the horrors of this orphanage, and it would go into black and white.
There are middleweight contenders and the heavyweights. Let's take a quick look at our fighters.
When I think of the Monster Brawl cast, the irrepressible Jason Brown once again comes to mind. In addition to being a skilled artist and designer, he also delivered a tour de force performance in the roles of Cyril Haggard, Cyclops, and Swamp Gut.
Wonderful day here in the swamps.
Swamp Gut in particular was the most demanding role.
This lady's taking a picture of me. I see you.
We had to set up several cooling stations around the set so Brown could rehydrate between takes. The fat suit he donned was extremely taxing to his health.
I hope you people all appreciate this.
Herb, Dean.
How you doing?
Pleasure to meet you.
Okay, how do you see everything?
There's two little tiny.
Oh, okay.
How are you this afternoon, John? Great. Are you excited for our afternoon lunch that approaches?
Evil.
And I think he had the most fun as gravekeeper Cyril Haggard, working in the announcer booth with Dave Foley and Art Hindle.
He always takes pictures and he fools you. He keeps filming. I'm sitting here posing.
For the other monsters in the film, we assembled an outstanding group of amateur wrestlers. I always thought that wrestlers were natural performers and their physical skills were a major asset to the characters they portrayed.
I barely put in effort with one girl.
It's my good side.
Like Swamp Gut, the Mummy was another role with demanding monster makeup.
Fuck the Mummy.
Local wrestler RJ City did double duty acting in the film, playing the Mummy and the werewolf.
What if I go like this? Huh?
We had Robert Maillet pegged as Frankenstein from the beginning. His size and history as both a professional wrestler and acting turns in films like 300 and Sherlock Holmes made him perfect for the role. To convince him to sign on to the project, we had Jay Brown draw a bunch of concept art of Robert as Frankenstein, and he quickly jumped aboard the project. Robert was a mild-mannered giant and an all-around delight to work with, very humble and a class act.
Yeah, it's rolling.
Well, we did music, brother got subscription to famous monsters. So I go as a monster fan. I was completely jealous that Robert was playing Frankenstein, but that was okay.
The other big man in the cast was wrestler-actor Kevin Nash, who was the opposite of Robert Maillet. He was brash, hilarious, and an incredible storyteller. 130 pop and take one.
Great work there now.
Perfect. Hey, what was that? Ingles? What'd you say it was? Hey, what the Ingolstadt? First up, fighting out of the Stone Crypt from Ingolstadt.
It was important for me to have appearances from wrestling icons, and getting the opportunity to work with manager Jimmy Hart was a tremendous experience.
What did you do? Oh my God! Hit the button.
Let's have you be like incredibly excited, like werewolf your victory.
Okay.
Guy.
All right. Okay, I will. That was just unbelievable. This is unbelievable. I cannot believe this. Who did the wilderness? Wow!
Come on, baby. We're late for the Monster Brawl.
Come on, buddy. Step on it. I'm gonna be late for the Monster Brawl.
Jimmy Hart was so dedicated to the project that he refused to accept even basic necessities like food or water.
It's all beautiful. I think if I drink water or food during the day, I slow down. Action! Please call 911!
That's a wrap on Jimmy Hart. That's a wrap.
Jimmy, you stole the whole movie from everyone, man.
Agreed.
The entire film would hang on the roles of the announcers who would give the story its voice.
And a sky-high lunar assault, the werewolf explodes the belly of Swamp Gut.
Cult actor and old friend Art Hindle had lived in our hometown for a time and played an abrasive color commentator named Sasquatch Sid. Dave Foley also grew up in the Collingwood area, and his comedic pedigree elevated the play-by-play announcing. He based his character on a mix between classic hockey announcer Foster Hewitt and sports personality Howard Cosell with a drunken twist. We wanted someone from the realm of mixed martial arts, so Herb Dean was brought in to officiate the brawl.
I'm really excited about what we're about to do now. It's the first time I've never been killed in a monster movie before, so I'm really excited about this.
My favorite performance of all was producer Matt Wheely's daring role of the Cyclops messenger.
An urgent message for fuck!
For the time will come when monsters will shape the fortunes of all.
Last but not least was getting the chance to work with the legendary Lance Henriksen, which was a dream come true.
Rotting in our stories and myths. Awesome. That's the one.
How in the hell did you recruit these monsters? Frankenstein's a zombie!
Hello.
The gore and special effects was an imperative department in the film, and for this we called upon our old allies, the Brothers Gore, Jeff and Jason DeRushy.
You cooking human flesh?
Little gore feast.
As per their custom, they set up their self-proclaimed gore lair in the basement of our crew headquarters, where they could work endless hours honing their craft.
Are you burning our food?
So those fit like a glove then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like better than a glove.
I like the mummy. When I first approached the Gores with the project, I think they thought I was insane because we needed a ton of monster suits and gore gags with a laughable budget, but they were resourceful problem solvers and were up for the challenge. The Cyclops headpiece consisted of a head prosthetic with a taxidermied caribou eye in the ocular cavity, simple yet effective. The werewolf outfit required prosthetic wolf arms and a lengthy face makeup process. Swamp Gut was a 3-piece fat suit covered in slime, foliage, and garbage. Frankenstein was mostly a prolonged facial makeup application, which we had to later scrub off with a barbecue brush. For the mummy, they took a spandex scuba suit and covered it with latex and bandages. Because she had a lot of skin exposed, the makeup for Lady Vampire, which was conceived as a fairly basic procedure, turned into a surprisingly protracted and nightmarish ordeal. The witch makeup was contained to her face and was comprised of lesions, boils, and a satanic symbol. A straightforward zombie prosthetic was all that was required for Zombie Man. Kevin Nash's first scene was his zombified Colonel look, which the Gores had to apply and remove quickly so we could complete his busy 2-day schedule.
Frankenstein!
The Gore brothers also had to amass a small army of zombie extras for our zombie uprising scene, and we had to call in a couple of assistants to share in the burden. Not only did the Gore brothers have to create multiple monster and creature suits for the film, they also had to devise and implement several gore gags, including the fake head that gets decapitated, as well as Herb Dean's neck slash, and the replica Zombie Man head that gets crushed by Frankenstein. Their ability to work under extreme conditions, on a constrained schedule, and a micro budget, combined with their dedication and passion for their craft and their love of the genre, made the Gore brothers an indispensable element to the entire production.
Hey, Jimmy, give us some background info on this event. How the hell did Monster Brawl come to life, huh?
Codes?
Yeah, brother.
Who's your favorite monster, buddy?
I think Swamp Gut.
Oh, I kind of like the Swamp Gut.
Jason Brown.
The werewolf.
Vampire?
I have two. The werewolf, because he just looks awesome.
Swamp Gut.
But I gotta say Swamp Gut too, because Brown's an animal. All of them.
And Brother Gore? All of them, eh? Mr. Griff?
What I've seen, who's the first one we had on?
Cyclops?
Cyclops is good, yeah.
So far,
The Mummy?
The Mummy.
Well, I got killed by the mummy, and so I'm partial to him.
Going for the underdog here. I'm gonna say witch bitch.
Yes.
My baby, Frankenstein.
My favorite makeup so far is the werewolf. I like the werewolf.
The wolf is stunning.
RJ's a beast.
He's a beast. You're a
witch.
beast.
I'd say the witch, actually.
Yeah.
She surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah.
She's a good witch.
Who's my favorite monster in the world?
Yeah.
Me. I like the werewolf. I like vampires.
Who?
My favorite monster, well, I have a couple of them. I like Zombie Man.
Yeah.
I also like the werewolf. I also like Frankenstein. You know, I've never met a monster I didn't like.
The crew on Monster Brawl were all essential pieces collaborating for the sake of the larger goal, which was always to create an entertaining monster movie.
They were underpaid and overworked, underfed and overcrowded, sleeping on cots in a rented chalet, and they were challenged by the production, and they in turn challenged us to make a better picture. Always trying to put out fires, keep on budget, and maintain morale, producers John Geddes and the always shirtless Matt Wheely were glorified production assistants.
Oh, hi.
Co-producer Cody Callahan wore multiple hats, ranging from producing to AD and even props and set work.
Then as he does that, we can do this. You good?
Yeah,
And I think when you, even when you drop your bag, I'd even cheat this way a little bit more.
Director of photography Brendan Ugama was summoned from Vancouver and came equipped with a red camera package. My collaboration with him was probably the most important alliance for the entire film. Brendan was a filmmaker in his own right, and brought with him a keen technical eye to frame the scenes while maintaining a freestyle method that the project required. He worked in tandem with his old friend, the always reliable camera operator Devin Lund.
All right, let's get this.
Stunt coordinator Leif Havdale was also brought in from Vancouver, and we hired him not only because he played Robert Pattinson's stunt double in the Twilight series, but because the script called for choreography on well over 100 wrestling stunts. The wardrobe in the film had over 40 costumes on a micro budget, so designer Olivia Sementsova had to weave some magic in the thrift stores and on the sewing machine. The audio department is often lost in the mix. We brought on board a reserve chain-smoking wallflower named Kirill Belousov, who was a one-man army sound department who captured the audio like his life depended on it. Ari Millen was a perfect example of the effort and sacrifice needed to make a movie like Monster Brawl. After toiling for a month in props and on set, he landed the role of Dr. Igora in a last-minute decision that paid off. The Grips kept the show running. Two of them were old high school friends Kevin Donor and Matt Griffin, who suffered immensely and volunteered for a solid month of hard labor. Laurie Terrace also volunteered all the way from Finland and worked alongside teenage recruits Ben Dundas and Dylan Atkinson. Teamster Oliver Glaser ran the whole electrical operation and was a jack of all trades. The amazing thing about film is the massive, spontaneous, and simultaneous collaboration of several art forms, and on Monster Brawl we were fortunate to team up with a tremendous group of young people who helped bring the vision to life.
It's not like I've worked on a ton of movies, but I think this is my 11th or 12th. And it's nice to have a director that has a vision, knows what he wants to shoot, but still gives the actors a chance to talk to them. So, I mean, you did it very organic. I think it's going to show that way. And I think anytime you want me to work for you,